October in Delhi. The days are getting shorter. You don't seem to hate the sun anymore. Evenings come with the promise of winter and the perfume of Saptaparni. But what could have been the season of romance is instead the season of pollution.
The Indian capital, Delhi, routinely ranks as one of the world's most polluted cities.
Delhi's air quality continues to be in the severe category. The air quality index in Delhi on Saturday morning was at 431.
People with respiratory diseases, for example asthma, should avoid all outdoor exertion.
It's awful. It's actually like smoking involuntarily. Your eyes sting, you get sore throats, you get sick really often.
Winter pollution in the months of October and November in the capital city is the amalgamation of many factors. Lowering temperatures conspire with the geography of the city, its local pollutants, and stubble burning to turn the city into a gas chamber. But what tops as the number one reason for pollution this winter season? The answer, my friend, is not blowing in the wind. At least not the ones coming from Punjab and Haryana. Of course, stubble burning continues to be a major issue that is being slowly dealt with. But the top reason? It's you and the traffic jam you're stuck in every evening. Yes, vehicular emission. Centre for Science and Environment reports that 51% of the city's local contribution to PM 2.5 levels at the onset of this year's winter pollution was caused by vehicles on the road. Now, PM 2.5 is this tiny, insidious particulate matter, thinner than hair, that heads straight for your lungs and creates respiratory havoc. And the Air Quality Index, or AQI, measures the level of this pollutant, among others, to rate the quality of the air that you're breathing. Now, not just this year, cars and other vehicles have consistently been one of the biggest local contributors to air pollution last year too, and the year before that, and the year before that, and you get the drift. But it's not like you're cursing traffic only in winters, right? Exactly. The bad news of bad air in Delhi is not just a winter phenomenon. In response to a question raised in the Lok Sabha this year, government data tells us that Delhi NCR region experiences bad air days with AQIs above 200 for almost half the year, and has been doing so for the 3 years we have recorded data for. Here's an example. AQIs below 50 is the ideal air that you should be breathing. But Anand Vihar in Delhi didn't have a single day below 50 AQI this year. Not one. Remember the clear blue skies of the COVID lockdown? Yes, roads had to be emptied to show us what the skies should look like in the national capital. In the last 2 decades, the number of vehicles on Delhi roads shot up from about 3.5 million in 2002 to 13.4 million by January 2022. Naturally, when a city's population grows, the number of its vehicles will grow too. But the Centre for Science and Environment putting vehicles and pollution together obviously doesn't make the automobile industry too happy, especially when it prides itself for being the growth engine for the economy. But what's the cost of this growth? And not only that, at whose cost is this growth? While bad air is good in the sense that it doesn't discriminate between whose lungs it's destroying, there's only so much road you can cover without saying hello to disparity. On one end, a mere 19 to 28% of households in Delhi own all of its private cars. On the other end, they're not always the ones bearing the brunt of this big bad pollution. Where are our representatives? The government has been putting measures in place. Earlier this month, when pollution levels peaked to severe category and the smog was making sick people sicker, the government banned the entry of trucks in the city, took BS4 diesel vehicles off the road, construction was halted, and schools temporarily shut. Grade 4 of the Graded Response Action Plan in full action. But all of these were emergency measures. Crisis 101. What about pre-emptive action? The Centre for Science and Environment report states that even though vehicles are the top polluters in Delhi, action to control their explosive numbers and usage have remained the slowest. In 2018, the National Green Tribunal and the Supreme Court of India brought in certain rules to curb city pollution. Diesel vehicles older than 10 and petrol vehicles older than 15 were banned in Delhi NCR. The 2022 data from the Transport Department, however, shows that many of these vehicles are still on the road. 42% of the registered vehicles currently plying Delhi's roads are invalid. That means they're too polluted to be on the road. Then there's the Pollution Control Certificate, which is a mandatory document certifying emission limits. Except 2 million of the total vehicles currently on the streets don't have this certificate. But what about public transport?
मैं दिल्ली के लोगों को बधाई देना चाहता हूं। आज 100 बसें और दिल्ली की सड़कों के ऊपर नई बसें उतर रही हैं।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will inaugurate the Delhi Metro's Magenta line, which will connect the Botanical Garden in Noida with Kalkaji Mandir in South Delhi today.
Surely Delhi is a connected and a mobility-friendly city. And don't we have the metro too? We might have to rethink that. The Union Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs released an Ease of Living Index in 2020. In terms of public transport, Delhi was second on a list of 5 worst performing cities in the country. The index looks at 3 prime indicators, which are availability of public transport, transport-related fatalities, and road infrastructure. The national capital scores below the country's average. The report pegs it at 1,688 per lakh population. The Center for Science and Environment data shows that post-COVID, ridership of public transport has declined in Delhi, whereas use of private vehicles has actually increased. Which means inadequate public transport plus more private vehicles on road is equal to more traffic jams and more grey skies. Even the Delhi Metro doesn't offer adequate saving grace. A 2018 Center for Science and Environment study categorized the Delhi Metro as the second most unaffordable metro in the world, punching a big hole in the pockets of its riders when per capita income is looked at. The DMRC contested this study, questioning its methodology. What it couldn't contest, however, was the drop in its ridership when fares were hiked. Vehicular emissions are a primary contributor to Delhi's poor lungs. Cars choking roads is not just a winter phenomena, and good public transport is the most pertinent long-term policy intervention. Last-mile connectivity, better integration of bus and metro services, walking and cycling infrastructure, electric alternatives to fossil fuels. All of this is a matter of governance, and what we need is a political will that looks at public transport as a matter of prime public utility, instead of just treating it as a social welfare mechanism for those who cannot afford private alternatives. We must be asking the question, how public is our public transport?